What is your perspective on prospecting versus retargeting mix allocation? A lot of folks will say retargeting is not a super incremental strategy, which I agree with. However, when I think about CPMs and the cost uh, to reach certain folks, I feel like that frequent messaging before they've converted, specifically for retargeting, they're already aware of you, but to me, it can help to increase conversion rate and also result in higher quality customers too, if you're using the right messaging. But curious what your thoughts are on like prospecting retargeting mix.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it depends on use case, or I think it's a case by case basis, right? Like if it's a pretty short buying cycle or user journey, something like a DTC product that's like $40 or something, I don't think there's that much differentiation in terms of the messaging. If you've nailed your initial message, to really key in on in subsequent touches. Also, it might just not. It might just be a play where you need to show up a few more times, stay top of mind as they're considering you for a week and really mulling it over. So, a frequency of 2 or 3, not terrible. There's something like Upwork where hiring someone is like a big decision. You're weighing who they should be. If you've got the mental capacity at the time to like onboard someone, um, comparison shopping with different freelancing platforms, going back to the Upwork example, uh, there's a lot of help and education and handholding that I think is worth using retargeting for. Now, of course, it's 2023, iOS 14 has happened. Retargeting pools are like 10% what they used to be. So that opportunity is no longer quite there. But if you've got a good CRM database, you understand who your customers are, and you're pumping all of that information back into the platforms, and you've got a strong match rate, then there's still potential to do it. But I think it depends on a case by case basis.
For sure. Yeah, and some solutions I would say for folks that are struggling with the diminished audience as iOS. You mentioned a great one, which is just like leverage your CRM and leverage your pixel, which is not going to be as diminished. Another thing that's worth testing is engagement style campaigns where you're building an audience off of people that have watched or engaged with a certain amount of your video. So if you're running app campaigns, you might not be able to retarget someone who's installed, but you can retarget someone who's watched 16 seconds of your video or something like that, which I think is super helpful. And even a lot of these players are creating these automated campaign types. Facebook has Advantage Shopping campaign. I've tested this in kind of the fintech space, even though it is traditionally supposed to be used for e-com. What I've noticed with Advantage Shopper is it's essentially a retargeting campaign to a certain extent. And I think what they're trying to do there is, if you're an e-commerce brand, they're getting you in the funnel with an initial ad for you to click on and then engage. And then Facebook is just really smart at saying, we just got to feed impressions to capture that attribution.
Yeah. Yeah. In a way, retargeting, I mean, yes, it's not in a way, it's totally still part of it, but you just can't split it out anymore. You don't know what's targeting or what's prospecting because these platforms have all become more opaque. For example, Google has their Performance Max, and I'm pretty sure a lot of that is just retargeting. And I know they've got the little toggle to go after new customers, but I'm sure a lot of it is still in there. And so you got to do what you can to make sure you've got your dollars pointed towards the true top of funnel, because you got to feed that in order for the whole thing to work. But yeah, it's become more opaque and it's more difficult.
Yeah. And to your point, for certain brands like e-commerce with a shorter buyer cycle, you might not necessarily need to adjust the creative that much. But for folks that have a longer buying cycle, like B2B, you have these kind of dedicated retargeting campaigns with more specific segmented audiences that you're testing different messaging based on what their intent level is and where they're at in the process, which is cool.